Welcome, everyone. My name is Ankur Patel. I'm the Director of Advancement for Hindu University of America. And today's webinar is on teaching yoga for children. Why and how? There's so many details that we are going to get into, from techniques to the data to the benefits. But, we know that yoga is a technique to calm down the chaotic mind. And you can guess and expect that learning yoga at a young age will make children more centered, mindful, wise, compassionate. A lot of great qualities that yoga can bring. And obviously at a younger age, it can make even more of an impact. So we do these weekly Saturday webinars on a range of topics. Thank you for joining us early. We have people from Boston, Miami, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm in Los Angeles. If you want to put it in the chat where you are in the world, we'd appreciate seeing the response. Give folks an extra minute or two to get on and join us for this special webinar. We have Smita ji with us today, who's going to answer some questions. And of course, Ashwini Surpurji, one of the yoga backbones at Hindu University of America, helped teach a series of different courses every quarter at HUA. And so let me just give Ashwini ji an introduction. She actually earned her Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. She's got an MA in Sanskrit. She's the executive director at Yoga Bharati. She's worked at Oracle as a software engineer for 15 years and then moved into the field of yoga training. And since 2010, she's been a full-time volunteer staff at Yoga Bharati. It's based in California. It's a yoga teaching and training organization, and Hindu University of America is proud to partner with an organization like Yoga Bharati. Ashwini ji has a great compassion for teaching and working with people, spoken at various conferences on yoga and Hindu philosophy. She studies and writes on Virashaiva philosophy. And again, at HUA, she's taught courses on managing back pain, which is going on this quarter, and managing diabetes and a whole range of other things. But again, today, our subject is teaching yoga for children. So Ashwini ji, maybe I can hand it off to you, as people are putting in the chat where they're in Georgia, DC, North Carolina. Again, if you want to put down where you're joining us from, please do that. And Ashwini ji, let me hand it off to you and we can get this webinar started. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankur. Let me share this presentation. Okay, so welcome everybody to this webinar on teaching yoga for children. Why and how? Yoga Bharati is a partner organization of Hindu University of America. We are also called Vyasa Northern California. We are a non-profit organization with an aim to spread the holistic yoga for the well-being at all Panchakosha level: physical, mental, social, pranic, and also at the spiritual level. We are a branch of Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Foundation. And so S. Vyasa is a premier yoga university. It has published over 500 research papers on yoga's efficacy in therapy needs as well as in other wellness needs. So with that introduction, let's go deep into the topic right away. And we have Smita Kinikar, one of the faculties of this course that we are going to talk about. And she'll be answering the questions if you have any. So let's come to the topic, the spiritual child. Very interesting name. There is a book called The Spiritual Child by Lisa Miller, and I highly recommend the book, and some of the content has been brought from that book. So children are essentially spiritual, says, of course, the Vedanta says, everyone says, Amrutasya Putraha, but here we have a researcher at the Columbia University who is saying this, and that makes many of us who depend on the validation from the empirical world, we can say that this is much more applicable today than any other day. Because it's coming from the scientific community as well. So there is a strong evidence, by the way, that biologically, neurologically, and physiologically, spirituality is part of our nature and is foundational to our thriving. There are many peer-reviewed scientific articles that show that spirituality is the key to wellness in child's life until adulthood. So spirituality is the central organizing principle of inner life of teenagers. It helps them to find the meaning um, while they are individuating, while they are becoming individuals, while they are trying to find who they are, while they are trying to find the meaning and purpose of life. Spirituality becomes the most important rope to hold on to. Awareness of spiritual development creates opportunities to prepare and prepares teens for their identity development for, and also prevents, it helps them to overcome all the peer pressures and also to fight the inner any conflicts. And if there is a depression, if there is anxiety, if there is a tendency towards drugs and sex, and without knowing the partner, many of high risk behavior that our teens can get into, all that is prevented with the spiritual foundation. And note this, what Lisa says in her book is that even a single powerful childhood experience of spiritual awareness can be a lasting source of guidance through adulthood. What does that mean? Basically, let's say you all probably remember talking to a grandma, talking to even a parent, any Ramayana story, anything where it may have made a deep impact on you. And when you grow up, when there is a situation where you may really be struggling with, suddenly this piece of wisdom just comes to you and you just handle it differently. If some of you may resonate with this sentence here. So, and another concept that we want to bring up here is personal spirituality. What does that mean? Personal spirituality is your own relationship with something higher. And that belief, it could be an inner feeling. It's not really belief. It's just a feeling that you have inside, where you dialogue with something higher, with transcendent. That is the most potent form of protection against suffering in adolescence. All of this is really not simply Vedanta talking or some religious text talking, but it is a scientific text that Lisa Miller has written on the spiritual text child. That is, this wisdom is coming from there. Now coming to what is spirituality? What is the definition? What is the scientific definition? We all know, but what is the scientific definition? Spirituality is an inner essence, or rather sense of relationship, and also inner essence to a higher, the sense of relationship to a higher power that is loving and guiding. Simple definition. But more, what is that inner higher power? It could be God, nature, spirit, the universe, the creator, or you can use any word you want to represent a divine presence. This guides our relationship with the world. It's like Krishna having, you are a child having a friend. There are many friends that children have these days, right? There could be Disney character, there could be all these, Winter Soldier, various new serials and TV shows, and they like to have a friend, a hero, and they worship. And this, in a secular sense, when you have that, it can last through the childhood. But when you have something divine, it stays with children forever. So this guides our relationship with the world. It also helps us dialogue with the higher presence at all times, especially in the times of need. That is the most important aspect of spirituality here. And religion and spirituality are not two different things. Religion includes spirituality. And this aspect, when you really think about it, science has again proven here that any kind of risks, such as risk of depression, physical risk taking, and sexuality devoid of emotional intimacy, all of this, the protection against all of that is actually this kind of a religion wherein there is bhakti involved. So when religion involves any kind of threatening, or my God versus your God becomes the aspect in the religion, that can be called fanaticism, but not otherwise. Religion and spirituality are simply one and the same. So with that sense, We don't want to go into this aspect of SBNR, I'm spiritual but not religious and all. All of this is a reaction from the modern society where there was and especially the organized religions trying to impose some restrictions and rules and regulations and hegemony and all that. But if you remove all of that, which is not at all religion in the first place, so religion and spirituality are one and the same. So this developmental phenomenon of religion is seen in every culture for the last, as long as you can think of humanity existing. There's always been some organizing principle, and that is the that spiritual awakening that we have during adolescence exists in all cultures, and parents and children share a parallel development arc, in which a child's need and yearning for spiritual experience coincides with the similar quest at the same time in a parent. So when they are sharing that mutual dialogue about spirituality, about what is there beyond life, that growth is there in child as well as parent if you are open to it. For the most part, we are too busy, quote unquote. So, but in a real sense, for the last many thousands of years, we have seen that the parent and the child, that meaning and connection is often leads to spiritual discovery. So that is, and spirituality is a most it helps children grow. It brings optimism in children, and optimism is not simply something that some people naturally have and some people naturally don't have. Yes, that might exist, but at the same time, optimism can be taught, can be developed, can be nurtured, and that can happen through spirituality. So spirituality teaches children to handle failures. It's not easy to just teach them how to go and succeed. It's very important for parents, teachers to teach them how to develop confidence and how to handle failure. Confidence through the setbacks, that is most important. And this spirituality gives them an eternal, it just gives them a friend that is always there during any social isolation. So we are all in social isolation, but we have a friend within us. And when we go on reminding our children about that, they are never socially isolated at any point. So that is something to be aware of. And we will go on to the next part, which is not going to be fun to talk and not going to be fun to discuss, because today's world is filled with this. That is the paradise lost, as Milton's novel goes, right? Yes, today religion is disregarded. For them, at the best, we have disregarded or sort of kept it in the back burner, thinking it is for later life. But in the worst case, which is what is the most we should be afraid of, is that religion is disrespected. And religion, even worse, people take pride in being non-religious. That is not a good, healthy situation. The research shows that a significant number of adults from 25 to 50 years of age in the West today have been raised with no spiritual structure, no spiritual community, no spiritual conversation, or even no practice whatsoever. And that means you just get up and go to work and do your thing and come back and sleep. Just like, won't you think that that would be an animal life for the most part? That's how we have all been living. And 1/3 of young adults, 18 to 25 today, say that they're right, that they don't have a religion. This is pretty sad. Since adults have no knowledge, because many of the people in the, even for that matter in metropolitan cultures, and even in India and many other Eastern countries today, as well as in the West, people have grown up without knowing religion or having practiced, having understood the meaning of it. So they tend to not teach. They decide not to teach that to children, or not to talk about it to children. They say, we don't know how to answer this question. So it might seem like it's okay and it's not a big deal, but in our moment of avoidance, we seem like it is just a small error, or a deviance for that matter. They don't even consider this an error, but it is it can actually derail an important development process in our children, says Lisa Miller, which means this is, in a scientific community, is seeing this as a major problem. Research shows that a parent's decision about how to approach their child's spiritual life is a high stakes proposition with lifelong implications. So specifically, research in medicine and psychology have shown that people with a developed spirituality get less sick. This is very important, are happier and feel more connected and less isolated in the context of illness. And people with a developed spirituality show positive effects for resilience and healing. So you can see that spirituality is no longer a nice thing to have, a good thing for somebody else in out there. If you go and do seva somewhere, it is you are helping somebody. No, no. You are basically helping yourself. You are helping your family. You are helping your children when you are involved in dharma and dharmic activities and in seva, in spiritual development as karma yoga or bhakti yoga or as jnana yoga. I'm sorry, I'm using all these terms, and basically the idea here is that in whatever shape or form, whether it is yoga on the mat or yoga off the mat, wherein you are practicing yogic mindset in while you are at work, or yogic mindset when you are when there is a poor man and you want to help that as a charity, not with the mind of charity, but with the mind of your own self-fulfillment. And when you bring this to your children, you are actually helping them to be healthy. Please understand, health is connected with this. That's when probably people wake up. So the other factors that are here are nuclear families. These nuclear families are, we all know that we all just have, husband, wife, and 2 children, or maybe 3 children, whatever at the best. That is how much our family is. But many of us, if at least some of us who have grown up in a traditional environment, we have had all these grandparents and cousins and mama and mommy, or that is aunt and uncle. That is a very different safety net for children. When parents are upset, the child runs to grandmother or auntie or whoever, and that is missing today, and the child is simply stuck at home. So this is another contributing factor. Parents, okay, fine, but parents are also very busy, and we are also very ambitious about going and achieving, men or women, mother or father. I'm not here to talk about who should do what and who is supposed to, this whole feminism issue that we are talking about. That apart, we are here, we have to make that decision for our children as to how much time we are spending with them and versus how much we want to grow at work. That is another factor here, and parents are very, very busy, and the friends that children or the babysitting devices that we have are TV, smartphone, internet, video games, and social media. We all know this. And the social isolation would have been fine if it was a social isolation with Krishna as my child's friend, that would, or even for that matter, a little toy or a little gadget with which the child is busy creating something, that would have been fine. But unfortunately, there is not real social isolation. There is something worse. That is, the child is on the internet, the child is busy, talking to on the social media, and there is cyber bullies out there, and there is constant peer pressure where I am better because I have this new iPhone or the new gadget, and this kind of toxic environment that exists, for the children today, and that makes it even worse. So the general, and also even at home, what do we do on the lunch table, dinner table? When we are discussing with friends, the most of the conversation that we have is centered around some kind of especially stock markets and how economy is doing, and who is doing what, and how much big house that somebody bought. So the material success and the empty fame that we constantly talk about, that brings children, they are growing watching this. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing that, I'm supposed to be earning a lot of money. Nothing wrong with that. The children have to know that. But also cynicism, that's another one. Oh, that person is bad, this person is bad. So all these talks that happen in the house, children absorb that, and they grow up with that kind of mindset. That's another problem. Our children, however, there is a dire need for our children to have a spiritual dialogue. Apart from this, let it be. But at the same time, are we giving enough time? Are we giving equal amount of time to talk about positivity? And if so, what is it with our children? That is something we need to introspect. Now coming to what is the major problem today in the world: stress and mental illness. Young children are under stress. That is very sad here. Severe sleep deprivation, as for a child as young as 5 years old, getting an alarm and wake up to the alarm and run to school. Then children are still running around at 10, 11, and weekend, it's by Friday evenings and Saturday evening, it seems as if sleep is not required for adults, for children, and whatever we do, they emulate. So this is pretty it's alarmingly bad for children. And then we have, of course, the negative reinforcement, that is constant comparison, whether we compare with other children or with their own siblings, whatever it is, we do that, whether we do it mildly or in, somewhere that hint children are extraordinarily sensitive. And even if, as soon as you have an intention, no matter how silent you are, they get it. And however you express, even through body language, they get it. So that is the other aspect that we need to be aware of. And then let's talk about depressed mothers here as an incidence for you to know how important spirituality is. Not that all the mothers are depressed, but let's talk about even mild anxiety or depression that runs in the family, right? And there is depressed fathers also, for that matter. So the research on depressed mothers shows that depression is one of the most potent risk factors for the child and adolescent depression, and half of the children can develop depression by the age of 20. It's just unbelievable, staggering numbers here. If the mother and her child reported the same personal relationship with the children, so what happens? Let's assume that there is a depressed mother and or father, doesn't matter. And when that is the case, if in that situation, in that family situation, we are not talking about any other case here, even in the high risk situation, if the mother and the child and her child has the same personal relationship with the religion, let's say what Lisa Miller calls shared spirituality. That means the child is growing up with a mother who probably has a little deity or a Shiva or any murti that she's worshipping somehow, in spite of the depression. When that is happening, or even another parental figure that is doing that, and there is a shared spirituality between the two family members, like that, a parental figure and a child, then the child is protected 80%. That means the incidence of depression in the adult by the age 20 reduces by 80%. This is again from the same book, The Spiritual Child by Lisa Miller. And she says, I had to rerun these numbers again and again because I was not believing that this is true. How can this be true? As a researcher, she was not able to believe this. And she ran the numbers many times to confirm this. And it gets even better. It says if it continues for the next generation, that means there is a grandmother, there is a mother, and there is a child. Again, it is not restricted to only mothers or females here. The fathers can be involved, but they have done much more research on the mothers. Probably the incidence of protection is much higher in case of women being spiritually involved. So the protective effect in the grandchildren, when mother and grandmother share the same spiritual practices, faith, rituals, whatever it could be, okay, then the protective effect is 90%. 90% protection against the high risk child developing depression. This is a very, very important discovery here for us to understand. So that means what is the parents and the child's role and the teacher's role, that is parent and teacher. We are not putting parent and teacher in different baskets, because the child is for the most part with the teacher during the weekdays, and especially 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours with the teacher. And then at home, parents might be even busy for that matter. So the teacher's role is equally important here. So a good school, when we say good school, we look for only the school that brings more score, more A's in the education, but one should look at the value-based education. That is very important. That's why we are bringing this topic here. So the positive reinforcement in the child is the most important aspect in the childhood. How we parent our children. When I say parent, teacher is parenting, by the way. How we parent our children for spirituality from birth through adolescence can open this developmental pathway in the child, or can completely shut down. So we are making or breaking our children. That is how tender of an age and how much moldable the child is. And the teacher and parents' role is crucial in this. We often speak of moral compass. For example, we want our children to be sharing, caring, all these things. But the moral compass of our children is derived from the spiritual compass of our children. So we cannot ignore spirituality and yoga and, again, religion. All of them, I'm putting them in one basket. They're used differently. Meditation, they're all not different things here. There's only one thing, that is spirituality. We are here using the word spirituality, adhyatma, however you want to call it, dharma, in whatever ways you call it. It all is one big basket of how the child is nurtured positively. So this spiritual compass is very important. It is a guided, it is a higher self that guides the child, that transcendental relationship between me and God, me and nature, me and the higher self, whichever, me and Brahman, me and whatever, Jesus, however you want to call it. That is very important for us to nurture. It is nurtured. It's not just, it is there in the child. There is what they call spiritual gene. Yes, there is a genetic factor where the children can borrow the gene from the parent or grandparent or anywhere from the tree of the family to become, to be more predisposed to becoming spiritual. That exists, and science has proven that. But at the same time, they say that it is not as crucial in child's development. That gene doesn't exist, so the child will not become. That is not true, because equally important is nurturing. And when we can nurture spirituality into our children, and that is something to be aware of. So, and as parents and as teachers, we cannot just put children into some spiritual school, Sunday school, and say, yeah, you go learn spirituality. That's not how it works. They emulate you. No matter where they go, what they do, they come back home, they watch you, and they learn. So you cannot just, send them away and expect things to happen. That's not the case. So it's not what you teach them, it's how you teach them that matters. And it's how you bring them up with the constant rituals, lifestyles, habits, and that all is for you, not for them, because they are simply flowing with you. And you just have to be aware of that. Here are some pictures I have put just to show that, how, whether it is Lord Krishna himself. If Yashoda was not Yashoda, then Krishna would not be who Krishna is, right? That is what we wanted to show you here. And so that those rituals, those little things that we do, as meaningless as they may seem to some of you, they have a lot of meaning, and they take your children to a long, lasting, to the lasting happiness. And some of the examples of teachers and parents that we can quote here are Shivaji. Some of you know Shivaji was an emperor in India, who fought against the Mughal ruler Aurangzeb and his tyrannical rule. And he was clever, he was bold, brave, and he was also compassionate. And one would wonder, how can those many qualities be in one person? And if you just studied Shivaji, you will be like, wow. But if you study Jijabai, then you will say, that makes sense. So basically, the child, can become as big as Shivaji or as great as Swami Vivekananda if if there is a mother like that of Jijabai, or if there is a teacher like that of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sure, we can say that, I'm not that great, I cannot be Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. No, we can take a little piece, little amsha from that, and we can still emulate that and make our children mini Vivekanandas, mini Shivajis. So there is a parent always in every one of our lives. There is a parent, there is a grandma, there is an aunt, a bua, that they say, a teacher, a mentor, someone in our life that has made us into who we are. And that's why we are here in seeking spiritual knowledge. And let us build the community around our children. So let us work on creating a safety net around them. Yes, those joint families have vanished, but can we make a big extended family? Can we bring an institution? That's exactly what we are doing here in Hindu University of America. That's what we do in Yoga Bharati, where it's nothing but a big family where we connect with people and we make friendship, lasting friendship, and we create that safety net. We take it home. When we learn, we are not going to learn and just forget there and come. We just, when our talk changes, our dialogues change, our thinking changes, and our answers to our children's questions change. So that makes a big difference in the family. So then we are not worried about little things that happen. A little one B in our child's grade doesn't bother us as much. We are looking at much bigger picture here. So, and can we teach immense subjects to our children? That's another last point that I want to bring. Yes, we can teach immense subjects to our children. For example, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. That is, sitting yoga means just simply removing the thought waves. What is that after all? It is basically focusing, dharana and dhyana, right? So can we tell our children to focus and study, focus and study, focus, don't worry, focus. But how is the child supposed to focus? How is the child supposed to know what to focus? And Swami Sarva Priyananda brings this very beautifully. He says, we have been told to focus. We have not been taught to focus. So we have to teach our children to focus. And that is done systematically through yoga. And when parent and child or when teacher and child shares that common space where these are all not like long journey of sitting all day and meditating. No, even a simple sitting just at the dinner table and just saying one om or any prayer that you say makes up all the, or lighting a little diya and just being silent, no matter how much you may have fought just previously, just, that congregation, that coming together and just being there together as a teacher or as a parent. Like, let me give you an example of IIT Madras. One Professor Swami, he just recently passed away. He was an IIT professor and he conducted a very interesting research. He, again, informal research, because you cannot make people say om, it's considered secular university, this, that. So they said nothing doing, we'll just ask one group of students. This is IIT. They divided the entire university into two, and all they did was 3 ohms before the subject starts for one half of the set of students, classes. In certain classes, they chanted om. In certain classes, they did not. Meaning certain set of students taking, say, mechanical engineering versus computer engineering, they divided like that, and they chanted 3 ohms and nothing. They didn't explain anything, nothing. Those who want to chant, otherwise simply listen. And the teacher just chanted 3 ohms and began. And they compared the grades at the end of 6 months. Huge difference. They couldn't believe their eyes. Just 3 ohms, and then they started the class. The grades were just unbelievably different between the ones that, they know the pattern and they studied, and they were like, wow, we should bring a proper research. But unfortunately, in the universities, you cannot chant om and lots of those problems. So he let it be. So just letting you know how important these little things are. And now coming to a couple of other problems that we can handle very easily. Body image. This is something at adolescents or children constantly. This is a good cloth, and this is the dress I have to wear, and all these closet wars that happen in the house, even from the age of 5 or 6. And then that continues and becomes such a problem. And many girls are even anorexic. They want to lose weight, and being a little overweight is considered very bad, and peers mocking them and all. How to teach your children at age 5? Simple. Bhagavad Gita's 13th chapter of Kshetra Kshetrajna Yoga. When we talk in our classes, we talk about this, that here is the body and this is a field, and there you are inside. And that is who you are. And it doesn't matter you are a young child or a old person or your grandma. It doesn't matter. It's still just that little self that is there. So kshetrajna versus kshetra, and we go on bringing these little concepts, and that they go a long way. When children are mocked for how they look, then this wisdom strikes and they say, hey, I don't care, I'm kshetrajna, I'm not kshetra. So these are some of the little things that you can put in the as a sprout, as a seed in the child. And Mahabharata at home, that constantly happens. There we bring little concepts, like maybe simply just go into Shashankasana, chant three Brahmaris when some big episode happens, and then that's good enough. And I used to do the same thing when my son would fight and close the door and bang and this and that. I would just sit outside and I would just start chanting Bhagavad Gita, and he would say, "Go away, don't chant this, that, and all." But then within 5-10 minutes, I'll continue to chant, and he just comes out and says, "Can you come inside and chant? I also want to chant." So within 5 minutes, the problem is solved, and my father-in-law would go, "What exactly? Is this a magic or what?" So this we have seen working in the house. So I guess it's time for us to bring these little things, if not already implemented. I'm sure some of you already are doing this. So we say, if you want your children to do yoga, you have to come to yoga first. And if you want to inculcate all this into your children, you have to take it up. So this teaching yoga for children, a course that we are bringing, we could very well have said, "Oh, you have to be already a teacher and this and that," but we are meaning like yoga teacher, but we are trying to bring it to the level of school teachers. We are trying to bring it to the level of even for that matter, yoga teachers, and even parents, if they are ready and they have some background on yoga and or teaching, or one of the two at least. So this is where I would like to stop, and I would like to move on to talking about what kind of yoga we offer here. Our school, at Yoga Bharati, we offer integrated approach of yoga at all layers of our existence, what we call Panchakosha. And these are all Panchakosha, that is Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, where we bring asanas, the kriya, and the diet aspects, and the bandhas, and pranamaya kosha, where we talk about various pranayama practices, and we bring them deeply, we teach them. And manomaya kosha is various meditation techniques, and bhajans and karma yoga are discussed and brought. Vijnanamaya kosha, we don't stop there. Okay, these are all techniques, yes, but without going deep inside and understanding what is happiness. What is happiness outside? Is it inside? So some amount of jnana yoga aspects have to also be part of yoga. Otherwise, it's just sitting and watching our breath, for example, or standing in the most complicated pose is not going to, it will help you to a certain extent, but it plateaus. It just becomes flat after that. You're not growing. So you need to have that deeper understanding, and we bring those aspects as well. And finally, talking about what is vasana, what are the thought patterns that exist, and to work, we have to go on working recursively on all these areas, constantly improving from physical layer. The asanas that we do definitely go all the way to help us in touching our Anandamaya Kosha, and vice versa. When we touch our Anandamaya Kosha, our physical body also gets better. So this exists, and we help through all these areas. And not only yoga on the mat, like we talked about this, karma yoga, the work with detachment for the fruit. So not just being a bhokta, that is to enjoyer of the fruit of the action. That's how a child begins to work, right? I do this because I get this reward. And that they have, again, science has shown that reward-based positive reinforcement versus the a sense of achievement. Here is the work to be done, and this work is important. Giving them goals, teaching them, not giving them, educating them on goal-oriented work versus fruit-oriented or a reward-oriented. They have found, science has proven this also, by the way. So karma yoga is, again, brought into the realm of research. And same thing with bhakti yoga, that love and surrender to the divine. We talked all along about this transcendental relationship that is nothing but bhakti. And then jnana yoga, reflection, contemplation, and understanding what is happiness. That aspect has to be there, and that dialogue, inner dialogue, is jnana yoga. And raja yoga, you all know that this is a practice on the mat or on the seat of meditation. So now let's move with that description. I want to move to yoga studies, what we are offering at HUA here. We offer three streams of courses. One is the short courses, 2 credit courses, holistic yoga. They are holistic yoga 1, where we bring yoga, definitely practice, also concepts and both concepts and techniques, and holistic yoga 2, which is the practice intensive for those who have taken holistic yoga 1, or those who already have a good background of yoga and don't have ailments or anything, that pain conditions. Then you can also sign up for holistic yoga practice intensive directly. And then we also have a therapeutic stream, where we bring diabetes management through yoga and back pain management through yoga, which is actually just started this course. And we also have teacher training and foundation courses. We don't, when we say teacher training, it's not like you're just going to become a teacher and signing up and leaving all the job work and just taking up teaching as a career. Teaching as a hobby, teaching or learning to teach so that you can teach your community, your family, your children is also included in this. And teaching yoga for children is the one that we are announcing in this course, in this webinar. And we have youth teacher training coming up for teens, 13 to 18 for some in summer, 2 batches. And we also have yoga teacher training coming up in fall. So teaching yoga for children, it's a 5 credit course, starts next weekend, April 24th to May 23rd, 5 weekends, Saturday and Sunday. And it's 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. that is for our Pacific time. We basically are offering the intense training followed by self-paced internship, practicum training, and field report. Through this course, you can include yoga into your teaching career. Like if you're a school teacher, you can bring it into your teaching career. If you are a involved parent, in your, PTA and various, you can also take this course to understand what is, how yoga helps, and you can, bring it into your school. And you can also, otherwise also, if there is space, we have limited space, you can be yoga teacher, and you can include this, because as a yoga teacher, we teach how to teach adults for the most part. And this, the teaching dynamics for children are very different. So you can take that. You can learn also handling children with various physical, mental needs and emotional needs, and understanding, like we said, we talked about spiritual child here, how to nurture and bring that spiritual child is part of this course. So just we'll be asking, if there are questions, we'll answer them. So yoga studies, other things that we have in the spring quarter, like we said, we have youth teacher training, 5 credit course again, spring 2021, that is almost June 14th. It's between spring and summer actually. And the next two start dates, June 14th and July 10th. And June 14th one is weekday evening, and July 10th is the weekend course. We also have holistic yoga 2 coming up in spring, that is next month. So this is a practice intensive, very, here it is. I think that also is in June sometime. So here are all different courses if you're interested. And with this, I'll stop here. Holistic Yoga 2 is something that parents can take to understand deeper aspects of yoga. And Holistic Yoga 1 is what we recommend actually to start with. That is starting also in summer, not in spring, in summer. With that, I stop here. Ankur, if you have something, let's spend
No,
time.
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. I have lots of questions in the chat. If you have specific questions, please put them in the Q&A box. I think Smitaji was answering some of them as they came up. I don't see any questions in the Q&A box, so I'm going to scroll through the chat and see if there's something that we want to pull out. Smitaji, you haven't kind of maybe take a time to answer some questions verbally. Some people aren't reading the chat, some of the things that you think people are curious about. I guess, yeah, go ahead, please. Or just some feedback or thoughts that you've had so far. Let me go through the chat.
I think there was a question from Varshaji. The course is that the classes will be of 5 hours and 30 minutes every Saturday and Sunday. Please elaborate how each session on a day will look like. So I have tried my best to answer this question. The day will start at 7 PST, and from 7 to 9, yoga practices will be taught by the faculty, like how you do yoga. And then we'll have a break in between for 30 minutes, and the next session will start at 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. We'll try to include different topics like mock sessions and what is yoga for children and spiritual child concept, the way Ashwini-ji was trying to explain this. So, of course, the latter part of the day will include different topics, which is an important part of the course. And of course, we will have breaks in between. We don't expect everyone to sit down for 3 hours together.
Yeah. Correct. So let me talk about the course a little bit. We do have youth learning. There is always teaching is learning first. So there is sadhana aspect to it. And so you need to get an idea of what yoga is if you already haven't done. But don't worry, for those who already practice yoga, the kind of yoga practice that we bring is with lots of concepts and deeper awareness. So that is definitely in itself is a sadhana, and that is something where irrespective of whether you have practiced yoga in the past or you are newly practicing, there is a lot that we bring as far as practice is concerned. And most important than practice, we also are bringing the concept of how to practice as if you are a child. So you become a child through that practice, and then you take that yoga, because if you are not taking your energy levels to children, you cannot bring that. Like one of the, just to give an idea, in one of the classes, one of the teachers was actually not feeling well. So she was trying to teach some jogging and she was not jogging. And she was saying, jog faster, faster. And the child says, what do you mean? You're not jogging. Why should we jog? So it's there, and they are going to talk on your face. So it's very important for you to have that energy. And so it's important to do that sadhana to become children. It's very important to be a kids teacher. And I'm not a young person, but I do like to teach children here. So you don't have to be young to be a kids teacher. You have to be young at heart, and you have to bring that energy. So these are all things that need to be learned. So how to maneuver when you cannot jog at the same pace. It doesn't mean that you have to always jog. So then we had to train that teacher as to, if you're not able to jog a certain day, or if you're not able to jog at all, we may have some knee issues and I don't want to be jogging. So there are ways to engage. So we will teach you those tricks as well, how to overcome your own limitation, physical limitation, right?
Amazing. I'm actually a substitute teacher for LAUSD, Los Angeles, and I see it depending on the grade level and the kids, right? They'll tell you what they feel, and you got to participate and you got to bring that energy. So I'm glad that you're going to be approaching it from that perspective. I'm going to drop a poll into the webinar. Please answer, right? If you're interested in enrolling in this teacher training, teaching yoga for children training course, just say yes, no, maybe. If you have questions, we'll follow up. And then I'm also putting it in the chat, the link, the time and the date. Please click, read it, sign up now if you can. Is there an age limit to attend the course?
No, there is no age limit to it.
I was asking that. Thank you.
If you are young at heart, you should take the course.
And the webinar recording will be made available to everyone who attended. We asked people to register to then get the recording. So please don't just email out the recording to everyone. Have them sign up on the registration form. That'll go out again also. That way we keep track of who's getting the webinar recording and all those sorts of things. Those are the two questions that I had in the Q&A box. I don't see...
There is a question. Children often respond to stories well, and yes, that is true. We do have, this whole course involves bringing up stories, how to be a storyteller, how to play games. And of course, now there are some Zoom games also we play, but we also teach them how to bring the in-person games. Because as a parent, when you want to engage children, and there are children, especially in the parties, and there will be a bunch of children coming to your house, and all of them will be bunched up playing some video games together on they borrow their parents' phone and they'll all be playing. No, what I do is I take all these kids into my garage and I play some simple what we call Gandhi kabaddi, which is, there's no real pulling the legs and stuff, but it's still kabaddi. And when I started playing that in one of the parties, where everybody was like inside, and I took these children, then some of the kids, auntie, when is the next party going to be, and can you have it in your house all the time, because they know that I'm going to make them play. So these little games like that, instead of everybody bunching, they don't even know each other's name. When they meet in the party, they will all be sitting next to each other and playing. That is not the way you want to bring up your children. So we teach all of these little tricks also here as to how to play games, and what are the games you want to play, and how to keep them engaged. And we play games in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not more than that, but the kind of thrill they get, because we have 1 hour class with our children, and we have to give them a little story, we have to give them a little 2-3 games, we need to interest them into doing the practices, we have to take them to advanced practices, because every time an advanced asana, a little bakasana, for example, and a little chakrasana, these are all very important for children, because you may or may not be able to do it. You can pick one of the children to demonstrate, but very important, because what's the goal of teaching children? Is the goal teaching them an asana, or is the goal to kindle an interest in the asana? What we say is they should have so much fun that when they become 30, as soon as they have some problem, the first thing they turn to is yoga. So it's not how much you teach. Unless you are a teacher, again, there are different goals. If you are a teacher where you want to take a bunch of 10 children and grow them for the next 10 years, absolutely do that too. So if you are going to do that, then the goal is different. But if you are teaching a general kids class in a school, then there is a lot of floating population, then the goal is very different. So we bring up all these concepts, and it's important even as a parent to learn, as a teacher to learn, school teacher, or as a yoga teacher to get involved into, because it's very difficult to teach children.
I know that. Regina is asking if everything is online for this quarter. I think everything will be online in the future after this pandemic, when we're a little bit better situated. We do have some weekend trainings that are in person, even though Hindu University of America is right now an online university. Thank you, Smita ji, for answering in the chat. You also answered Smita Madhurji's question, where if you're new to yoga, the first course we really encourage you to take is the holistic yoga, right? You orient yourself, you get context, and then we have all these different kinds of yoga programs and courses that then get you into the niches or the specifics of where you may be. We're all on different pages, right? We're all at different parts. Ashwini, would you like to elaborate?
No, I think this is perfect. Holistic Yoga 1 is something where we actually not only give you the practice, but we give you such good, deep concepts, yet not deep enough to, to get confused about. So you have a holistic understanding of yoga. That's the whole idea there. And yes, you can start with that. We highly recommend you to start with that.
So if we had a 12-year-old, what course would you suggest that they take?
Yoga for children. There are we have yoga for children in Yoga Bharati, and there are of course other courses that probably Hindu University of America also has, right? On some upcoming summer, anything summer for children. I have seen that last summer, concepts of Hinduism being taught in Hindu University of America. We at Yoga Bharati definitely always have yoga for kids. That's one of the flagship classes that happen all the time, always full. So yes, you can contact us for that.
Yeah, classes. We'll include it in the email that goes out. Pragyaji does a follow-up, so we'll just include that so people have it, because I know this idea of teaching yoga for children, maybe people thought this was specifically for kids to participate and then do yoga, but this is
That's
train the trainers kind of. So we'll include that and give people options for all the ranges. I think that'd be good. Binduji asked an interesting question. I have some thoughts on it, but I'll go to you first. Concepts that can reach children of all faiths.
yoga is a plug and play. So yoga, when we say yoga philosophy, there is, see, if you really understand that, rituals can be different. A path to, or you can take Jesus as the pratima, what we say symbol. Pratima is a symbol. So the God as a transcendent aspect is not different for Hindus and different for Christians, different for Muslims. It's all the same, but your path can be different. But as far as yoga philosophy is concerned, we are talking about mind. We are talking about calming of the mind. How can this be different for anybody for that matter? So these poses where you stand and where, or the practices of pranayama where you observe your breath, these are all very innate to every human being. So it is plug and play. So you can plug yoga into any religion. And Swami Vivekananda has said, if you practice yoga and you are a Christian, you will be a better Christian. If you are a Muslim, you'll be a better Muslim. And if you're a Hindu, you'll be a better Hindu. Or, you know, so it's secular in that sense. I don't like to use the word secular, but
Appreciate that. So we don't have any courses specifically HUA for preschool and kindergarten students during the summer. We do have Hindu contributions in the realm of mind, but that's more for like middle school, high school, teenagers. Again, Yoga Bharti, I think that young can participate in your yoga for children. Preschool, kindergarten, is that too young?
Yeah, we start from age 6.
Age 6.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll include that.
Preschool and kindergarten, we want parents to join Holistic Yoga 1. That's the way to start. And you bring those little concepts for your child.
Yeah. Do you think, Smita Madhurji is asking again, somebody directly joined teaching yoga for children? Yeah, new to yoga. Would they be able to participate in that? It sounded like it was a broad course that is going to bring
It's
people
a broad
on.
course, and we did not say that yoga has to be absolutely, it's not a absolute prerequisite. Like we said, if we are gearing towards school teachers, if you are into any kind of teaching, that helps. And if you would like to, as a parent, we are happy to involve you. We need to have a discussion with you to understand, because we don't want any sort of, mismatch in the expectations. So give us a call, and then we can discuss to see what your needs are and how involved of a parent in terms of any spirituality that is there. So we'll explain what we do, and if that matches and if you're okay with it, then we'll consider. And also we have a limited space. That's the one more aspect to just be bringing here.
Yeah. Smita ji, did you want to say anything? You clicked answer live for some of these questions in the Q&A box.
I think Ashwini is the right person to answer these questions, because one of the questions is, I have done YOC from SVASA. What is the next step for me? So, of course, we encourage you to join this course, because this is something you can fit in anywhere, like, teaching yoga to kids. And of course, if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, and you can definitely go for this course.
Great. We have Panaji, who's raised their hand in the participant window. If you want to raise your hand and ask a question by voice directly, you can raise your hand and I can put you on the panel to ask that question. Oh, we got some other people raising their hands. So we have no more open questions there. So Panaji, let me put you up here and you can ask your question once you unmute yourself. And please keep these questions going. We're not even at, I'm in Los Angeles, 10 o'clock yet Pacific time. So we still have opportunity to answer whatever questions you may have. Don't hesitate to ask. Well, maybe Panaji, you are on. Did you want to ask a question? You can unmute yourself now. Maybe they accidentally raised their hand. Okay.
Okay. And one last thing to also add is that we also bring chanting. In this course, we bring how to teach chanting. Of course, we won't bring chanting as such. It's in the 50 hours, it's not possible. But we pick one or two shlokas and we teach how to teach, chanting. That also is an important aspect for children's growth and memory development. So some of the chantings will be in Sanskrit. We won't bring too much of it because some of you may not know Sanskrit. But again, it's not just limited to teaching them Sanskrit chanting, although Sanskrit chanting has its own advantage. But we can pick any of the songs, good, noble, spiritual songs, and you can teach them in the same manner. So we are teaching you the teaching techniques of chanting.
Again, the poll is open. Still about 10 of you have not filled out the poll. Please, yes, no, maybe. Just makes it easier for us to follow up and be more targeted. Varsha G asks, what are the assignments, the essays, the course work? What does that look like? And maybe time commitment, you can also just let people know.
Yeah, there is going to be, you are required to listen, rather, I should say, watch some of the kids' classes. We can only teach so much in the adult setting. So you need to really observe the child setting also. And so we have some kids' classes that are constantly going on, and we ask you to observe them. And we also ask you to understand some of the concepts. So we'll be giving little writings for you to do. And at the end, there will be a little project report, or what they call field report, where you start teaching, and whenever you are ready to get certified, so you need some of the experience yourself, and then you write your own experience. We have a template for you to write, and what is the concepts of yoga, what is panchakosha, and all these concepts that we would have covered, and we would give you the reading material also, and you're required to write a small project report, rather field report, of your experience of teaching. So that is required, but it won't be like very huge work. And in these 5 weeks, these are intensive weeks, so we won't give you too much homework other than practice homework, which is very important. And so we'll be giving you videos to practice, and we ask you to practice every day, because if you are getting ready following week to teach, you'll be put on the stage to teach. And so you should know those asana names, and also every day practice for about an hour, hour and a half is important. Other than that, in those 5 weeks, we won't ask you to write a whole lot and submit so much homework and all that. No, but later, when you are shadowing, when you are doing internship, and when you are teaching, that's when you are required to write some journaling. Even through these 5 weeks, little journaling, 5-minute journaling will be required, but nothing too much. Mostly practice, because through your practice, you are learning. Yoga is not learned any other way. You cannot sit by the side of the seashore and expect to learn swimming. Same thing. You cannot sit by the side and read a manual and think that you learned yoga. Doesn't work.
Thank you. We had Neela G. She raised her hand. I've brought her onto the panelist. Did you want to ask a question, Neela G? You want to unmute yourself, and if you want to share your video, up to you.
Okay. Hi, I live in Florida. The reason I say it is because I do want my kids, I teach slokas for the kids, and I do talk about a lot of Hinduism and history. I was interested, but for me to learn, it'll be not possible because I have physical disabilities. Not handicapped, but I have a health challenges. So do the kids have a place that they can apply for like a summer course or something?
Kids, meaning how old are they? And
well, I have grandkids that are 15,
yeah.
12,
yeah,
10, 8.
Absolutely. We have kids camps that are arranged, and there is also youth teacher training for 15 and above. We can definitely first come, first serve basis. So please do join. We'll be announcing all these courses anyway. So
Are
yeah.
they offered on the Zoom because they live in?
Yes. Yes, they're all offered on Zoom these days.
Of
Yeah.
course. Thank you. Thank you for answering. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Neelaji, and getting on and asking the questions. It's always nice to see people participate in that way. So if you want, love to bring you on. If you want to ask by chat and text, that's also fine. But again, Hindu University of America, with our partners like Yoga Bharati, with so many other Hindu institutions that are in this space, are trying to create the things that we want as a community, the things that you want as grandparents, as second generation Hindus, as wherever you may be in the world. We're trying to create the courses, the classes, the intellectual property, all of these things, and make it accessible to us. And Hindu University of America is one of these platforms that I think is doing that well. And we're going to continue to do that. And thank you for participating. We got
Thank you.
Radulaji asking, oh, go ahead, Smitaji.
I think this question is for Ashwini ji from Shilpa ji. Will this course help fulfill some requirements of YTT towards electives, workshops of shadowing? So it looks like she's part of YTT.
Yeah.
Ashwini ji, you can answer this
We
question.
can talk after. You just send us an email and we'll talk. Yeah. If you're part of YTT, it should be easy. Let's talk. And there's a question from Rudula ji. Do you have yoga for the handicapped or those with disabilities? Absolutely. We can definitely help you with some one-on-one classes. And then we also have yoga for seniors on the chair, various such things. So just contact us, classes@yogabharati.org. Let me type it.
Yeah, let's put that in the chat. Yeah, that was a real interesting idea. Yoga in the chair, right? If you can't get up, you can't lay down, all these other things, but there's still ways to help. I thought that was really cool. We brought Prabhatji onto the panel. Please ask your question, sir.
Actually, I just have a quick comment for Aswini, not really a question, and that is, you really put it in a very good perspective. Religion includes spirituality. They are one and the same because people tend to really denounce religion these days. So I'm really thankful and also very happy to hear that comment. That's all. Thank you, Uncle Ji.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this book on Spiritual Child by Lisa Miller is just so good, covers all these aspects. And she even acknowledges yoga, meditation on Eastern religions. She brings very beautiful, very respectful. Many researchers tend to simply talk about science and not bring anything in terms of transcendental, existence of transcendental relationship. So the very respectable book. And so, yes, we all already say this, but when it comes from scientific community, we just tend to be a little more, or ears open up. So that's why I brought it. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhatji. So I have trouble sitting cross-legged. Can yoga fix that problem? Please contact us unless there is an absolutely unfixable problem. For the most part, many things yoga can help to the extent where finally the only stopping factor would be the bone really touching each other. If there isn't any other muscular issue and things like that, we can definitely address that. So do write to us. Again, classes@yogabharati.org. We can, there are some personal classes you have to take, private classes, so that we study you and then we offer suggestions. There are too many, when there are too many requirements, you just want that one-on-one time. And after that, once you are empowered and enabled, just a regular group classes. And when you go on practicing, there is no, as Dr. Nagratna says from Yasvyasa, there is no ailment that cannot be completely reversed. It's just a matter of time. Then how can a 90-year-old, can they reverse? Yes, but they should have another 90 years. Because if we took a wrong exit and went a wrong way for 20 miles, how many miles you are supposed to come back? 20 miles. So that's the only difference. But otherwise, there is nothing. The body is such a resilient thing that even a 90-year-old can practice and can start feeling better the very next day. The rewards are right there, not even too far. But yes, the more chronic the problem is, the more time it takes to heal completely. Thank you.
That's a good analogy. Regina is asking you to tell more about the internship after the course for certification.
Yeah, internship is basically observing and shadowing the classes. And if you are more interested in doing something more, there is again a minimum requirement, and there is of course the whole sky is the limit if you want to study more or even get involved more. We also are going to get involved into special needs children and various such things also. If you're interested in helping out, if you're interested in working with us, you can be work as intern initially, and then of course as a teacher later. The bare minimum requirement would be shadowing of the classes that we want you to do. And we'll send you all the requirements when you inquire with us.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will be sending a follow-up email. The webinar recording will be made available. We'll follow up, Rageji. Might give you a call if you click yes or maybe in that poll. Thank you for filling it out. I think we have answered all of the questions. Maybe some closing thoughts. And unless you see, oh, there we go. Can certified, Anitra asks, can certified yoga teachers get continuing education hours through the Yoga Alliance by taking your courses through HUA?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. And we are all RYT 500 here, ERYT 500. So yes, you can get the continuing education. And we are also, there is this Yoga Alliance continued education provider. So we are yoga by ACEP, they call it, that we are. So yes, you can. And Smita, you would like to add any thoughts? I would like to thank Ankur and Smita for helping me with the webinar, and I would like to thank HUA for giving us an opportunity to present these courses. We are very happy and blessed to have such a large community of Hindu University of America blossoming, and we are happy to help in any way in that process. So Smita, if you would like to add.
Yes, I would like to thank you, Ankurji and Hindu University of America and all the participants. Thank you for taking out the time and asking for those questions. So thank you, Ashwiniji, and thank you, Ankurji.
Thank you. Namaste all. Dhanyavad. Thank you for attending. See you at the next one, and maybe in a course at HUA or with Yoga Bharati. Namaste.
Thank you.